A former high-ranking U.S. cybersecurity official has disclosed that Chinese state-sponsored cyber operatives have managed to infiltrate major internet service providers in the United States. This sophisticated hacking campaign, orchestrated by Beijing, represents a significant escalation in cyber espionage activities. The infiltration of such critical infrastructure highlights the increasing threat posed by state-backed entities within the cyber domain. The statement from the former official emphasizes the urgent need for enhanced cybersecurity measures to protect against these advanced persistent threats. The revelation sends alarm bells ringing, illustrating the lengths to which nation-states will go to gain strategic advantages and gather intelligence. The recent waves of cyber attacks on U.S. internet service providers have raised alarms among cybersecurity experts and government officials. Chinese state-sponsored cyber operatives have been identified as the culprits behind these extensive penetrations, according to sources familiar with U.S. response efforts and private security analysts. These highly sophisticated and aggressive attacks have compromised at least two major U.S. providers, which serve millions of users, along with several smaller providers. Brandon Wales, the former executive director of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, has highlighted the severity of the situation, noting a significant escalation in China's cyber activities. He described the current threat landscape as far more severe than in previous years. What makes these attacks particularly concerning are the targeted entities. The focus appears to be on government and military personnel and organizations strategically valuable to China. This underscores the heightened risks posed by state-backed cyber threats and the urgency for deploying robust cybersecurity measures to safeguard national security. The revelations underscore the importance of international cooperation in cybersecurity and the need for the U.S. and its allies to stay vigilant and proactive in countering such threats. It is a stark reminder of the evolving nature of cyber warfare and the persistent efforts of nation-states like China to exploit vulnerabilities and gather intelligence. The impact of these breaches extends beyond immediate disruptions, posing long-term risks to national security, economic stability, and public trust in digital infrastructure. As the U.S. works to mitigate these threats, the role of cybersecurity professionals becomes ever more critical. Their expertise and swift response are essential in defending against these sophisticated adversaries and in strengthening the resilience of the nation's cyber defenses. Cybersecurity is not just an IT issue, but a national security imperative, demanding coordinated efforts at all levels of government and private sector to protect sensitive information and critical infrastructure. Mike Horka, a former FBI agent now researching at Lumen Technologies, have been deeply engrossed in analyzing recent cyber campaigns. These attacks were not random. They were precisely aimed at high-level connectivity networks supporting significant customer bases. Despite the seriousness, specific ISPs involved were not mentioned. The perplexing part was that these operations exploited previously unknown software vulnerabilities, highlighting the meticulous planning by the threat actors. As Horkus sifted through the evidence, he couldn't ignore the striking similarities in tactics and resources with those of the China-affiliated group Volt Typhoon. This group had a history of targeting critical infrastructure, including Pacific ports, which was alarming due to the potential implications for U.S. military logistics in case of a conflict involving Taiwan. His mind raced with questions. Could this be a prelude to something more significant? Were these just probes, or was there an imminent threat lurking? The White House, when approached by reporters, referred all inquiries to the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, within the Department of Homeland Security. CISA confirmed that Lumen had identified and reported the exploitation of a specific software flaw. However, they remained tight-lipped about other details. No comments were made about other techniques used, specific targets, the broader scope of these operations, or the identities of the responsible entities. Horka knew the implications were vast. The silence from CISA was telling. It hinted at the potential scale and sensitivity of the threat. As someone who had spent years in the trenches of cyber warfare, he understood the gravity. The intersection of technological vulnerabilities and geopolitical tensions created a shadowy battleground, one where information and intelligence were the ultimate prizes. With a heavy heart, Horka continued his work, knowing that in the unseen world of cyberspace, the battle was far from over. The Chinese embassy in Washington categorically denied the allegations made against them regarding cyber attacks. Embassy spokesman Lu Pinyu stated that the group known as Volt Typhoon is actually a ransomware criminal organization called Dark Power and operates independently without any state sponsorship from China or any other region. He suggested that recent claims linking these cyber attacks to the Chinese government were part of a concerted effort by the U.S. intelligence community and cybersecurity firms to obtain increased congressional funding and government contracts through the spread of fabricated evidence and misinformation. At the same time, researchers from Lumen Technologies revealed incidents involving cyber attacks on 3 U.S. internet service providers, including a major provider, another U.S. company, and one in India. Lumen Technologies, in a recent public blog post, highlighted the exploitation of a zero-day vulnerability in Versa Network's network management software, which Versa disclosed to its customers last week. Lumen, headquartered in Santa Clara, California, recently addressed a critical security issue in a blog post published on Monday. The company confirmed the discovery of malware within ISP routers utilized by specific customer groups or individuals, capable of intercepting customer passwords. Lumen attributed the malicious software to Volt Typhoon and emphasized that affected customers had neglected to implement essential system hardening and firewall guidelines. Additionally, a recent report by Velexity highlighted another sophisticated attack targeting a different ISP. According to Velexity, a distinct Chinese state hacking group exploited vulnerabilities within the ISP's infrastructure to manipulate domain name system, DNS, web addresses, redirecting users to malicious destinations. This tactic enabled the hackers to surreptitiously install backdoors for espionage purposes. These incidents underscore the critical importance of proactive security measures and robust defenses within ISP networks to mitigate such sophisticated threats effectively. Stephen Adair, CEO of Velexity, emphasized the technical challenges involved in successfully implementing advanced cybersecurity strategies. While the concept is straightforward, executing it successfully requires top-tier expertise. Chinese government-affiliated hacking groups have demonstrated a particular expertise in DNS manipulation. Earlier this year, security analysts at Infoblox identified a sophisticated campaign linked to China. This operation leveraged the Great Firewall of China, typically used to restrict access to certain online content, to redirect internet traffic. Although specific threats to ISPs were not discussed, top U.S. cybersecurity officials highlighted the ongoing activities of groups like Volt Typhoon during recent conferences such as Black Hat and DEF CON. According to retired General Paul Nakasone, former head of U.S. Cyber Command and the NSA, these groups prioritize gaining access for potential physical damage, illustrating a behavior far removed from accepted international norms.